Okay guys, I'm here for the 4th video in the Great American Bash Review series. When I chose to do the Great American Bash Review series, it was just to basically give videos for the month of June, because it would take at least over half the month, because there's 16 of them. However, I have discovered that the Great American Bash 1991 is widely considered one of the worst mainstream wrestling shows in the history of pro wrestling, and if you don't include Heroes of Wrestling, which I've never seen, is probably the worst show of all time. And I can tell you this, it is the worst Great American Bash. Yes, it's even worse than 2000, which is horrible too, but that one has a redeeming quality or two about it, like most bad shows. This one is just bad from top to bottom, and there's 11 matches on this card. Oh boy. So, the Great American Bash 1991. July the 14th, 1991, from the Baltimore Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. What this show is most known for, I will get into when I talk about the World Heavyweight Championship match. Okay? The opening contest is a Capture the Flag Scaffold match. PN News and Beautiful Bobby Eaton versus Stunning Steve Austin and Terrence Taylor. Oh boy. For those of you who don't know what a scaffold match is, or did not watch my Starrcade 86 review, because I believe that's when the first one happened, you basically have this platform that's normally made of steel, but in this case it's wood. It's above the ring about 20 feet, and normally the only way to win a scaffold match is to throw one of your opponents off the scaffold. This is basically just one high spot, and it's kind of an insane high spot. Well, to capture the flag one, you gotta go across, get your opponent's flag, and bring it back. Needless to say, that's what Beautiful Bobby Eaton does. He gets the opponent's flag, he brings it back, and for some reason the match still goes on until Steve Austin gets a can of aerosol hairspray from Lady Blossom and sprays both the faces with it. In case you were curious, Lady Blossom was Stone Cold Steve Austin's wife at the time. Pathetic match, no stars. So then we get the Diamond Stud, which is Scott Hall to you and me. And he's taking on Tom Zink, or the Z-Man. Again, not a good match. Better than the first match. It's 1 star, because it's not terrible. Although, Diamond Stud winning with a laid-back suplex is kind of weird. So then we get, oh geez. Oh good. I'm going to enjoy talking about this. Our next match is Ron Simmons versus Oz. Who the heck is Oz, you're probably wondering. Oz is Kevin Nash's first gimmick he ever had in pro wrestling. Why is there even a character named Oz, you're also probably wondering. Well, in 1991, Ted Turner bought the rights to The Wizard of Oz, the movie The Wizard of Oz. And I guess he thought this would be good cross-promotion to make someone basically be a gimmick based around The Wizard of Oz. The problem is Oz is not a person, Oz is the country and all that. And Oz has a manager, which is Kevin Sullivan in a mask, called the Great Wizard. Okay, I will say this, Kevin Nash does 4 bumps in this match for Ron Simmons. He had 2 previous matches before this, one at the first Super Bowl and one at the Clash of the Champions before this. Nash has never been the best in-ring worker, unless you put him with a really good person like Bret Hart or something. This match, I'm giving it a ½ star because I can be a generous person, because there is some stuff that's good in it. Not a lot, but there's some stuff in it. It's ½ star. So our next match of the first 4 is the best match, even if it is a tad bit boring. And it's the Rock and Roll Express have exploded! As it's Richard Morton versus Robert Gibson. Richard Morton has Alexandra York with him. Alexandra York, in case you're wondering, you might know as Marlena or Terry Reynolds from the WWE. she had this group called the York Foundation, which was essentially Terrence Taylor, Richard Morton, and Tommy Rich, and to be perfectly honest, it ruined 2 of their careers. It didn't ruin Terry Taylor's career because the WWE had done that with the Red Rooster. But the thing is, while there is psychology in it because Morton works over Gibson's injured knee that was injured, it doesn't go and play into the finish, so it kind of makes the psychology pointless. And on top of that, when you have tag teams blowing up and fighting each other, that's more of a fight type of thing. You know, with blood and stuff like that should help. Okay? Not a bad match. I mean, the finish comes when Morton gets the Alexandra York's typewriter and cracks it over the back of Gibson and wins the match. But really not a, you know, it's a 2-star match that could have been better if it wasn't very, very boring and a lot of stalling. So, and it went 17 minutes, by the way. So, the thing is, the stalling persists because they only have 10 minutes for a 17-minute match, so you have to have stalling in there. And, of course, all heels stall. It's the way a heel plays up. You know, they stall. So then we get a 6-man tag team elimination match. Dustin Rhodes and the Young Pistols, which are Steve Armstrong and Tracy Smothers, a very underrated tag team, versus the Fabulous Freebirds and Badstreet. Who is Badstreet? Well, it's Brad Armstrong under a mask. There's some stalling by the Freebirds here. That gets really annoying because the announcers say, why doesn't Tracy Smothers just deck the Freebirds? That tells you that there's way too much stalling going on here, and another 17-minute match is probably at least 10 minutes too long. I will say that the eliminations come really quick. After a DDT, Tracy Smothers is eliminated. Michael Hayes is eliminated via disqualification when he froze, or Steve Armstrong is eliminated first. Then Michael Hayes froze over, gets disqualified by throwing over the top rope Tracy Smothers. Tracy Smothers eliminated, and Dustin Rhodes eliminates both Jimmy Garvin, and then he catches Badstreet with a Bulldog and drop kicks Big Daddy Dink at the same time. That's nice. 2 stars. So then we get a bounty match. The Yellow Dog versus Johnny B. Bad. Who the heck is the Yellow Dog? Well, this is Brian Pillman under a mask. Little backstory. Brian Pillman had lost a match, and the loser had to leave WCW. So a couple weeks later or something, here comes the Yellow Dog. A guy who uses Brian Pillman's moveset, uses his music, and says he's Brian Pillman's biggest fan, but he is definitely not Brian Pillman. So essentially, it's Mr. America before Mr. America happened. Okay? And if Yellow Dog is unmasked through to be Brian Pillman, and Brian Pillman would, I think, be suspended for life. Yeah. Bad match here. This is half a star. Johnny B. Bad was still really green at this time. Now, these two had a much better match at Fall Brawl 1995. One of the best matches on that card. In fact, one of 2 to make that show worth watching. But nothing here. It ends by DQ when Teddy Long tries to take the Yellow Dog's mask off. So then we get a Lumberjack match. And a night pretty much full of stipulations because of the 11 matches here. All but 3 of them have a stipulation of some kind. 4 of them or something. And anyway, it's Big Josh versus Black Blood. Big Josh is Matt Bourne, the original evil Doink the Clown. And Black Blood is Billy Jack Haynes. 1 star, not that great of a match. Moving on. So then we get, oh my gosh, El Gigante versus the One-Man Gang. El Gigante. The worst wrestler in the history of wrestling. Sure, okay, the Great Khali is just about as bad, but at least the Great Khali had a following in his home country of India, which is why the WWE kept him around for ages. El Gigante wasn't even popular in Argentina. He could not wrestle or do anything. And yet the WWE put him against a long-term feud with The Undertaker in '93. Basically, the finish comes when one-man gang gets some powder and El Gigante kicks into the gang's face badly and hits a clothesline for the win. Oh boy. And for the SummerSlam review series, I still gotta talk about this guy. Ugh. No stars. So then we get a Russian chain match. Sting versus Nikita Koloff. This match could have been better given the two people in it, but it's not that great. It's 1.5 stars, and the finish to it is the finish essentially from the Great American Bash of 2004 in a Texas Bull Rope match. It's tied at 3 corners each, because it's essentially just like a strap match. You go around and you touch all 4 corners in succession. Okay, well, each of them touch 3 corners. Sting goes for the Stinger Splash and hits it, but he's doing it as Nikita Koloff is going for the 4th corner, so Nikita Koloff touches it first. 1.5 stars. So, then, the steel cage match for the vacant WCW World Heavyweight Championship. And this whole thing is why this show is more remembered. Not for the in-ring action, but for a lot of things that took place behind the scenes. Okay, this was being billed as Legend versus Legacy. Flair's Legend versus Luger's Legacy. It was supposed to be Ric Flair versus Lex Luger, and WCW wanted Flair to drop the belt to Luger. Now, Flair had been having serious problems with Jim Herd ever since Jim Herd showed up in WCW, because Flair thought he didn't know how to run a wrestling company. Which was right, because WCW plucked him from like a Pizza Hut or a Domino's or something like that. Kind of like how Dixie Carter has been running TNA, in a way, and put TNA in the position that it's in. But Flair didn't want to drop the title, at least to Luger anyway, and they couldn't deal out a contract. Flair eventually, on July 1st, Flair eventually agreed to drop the title to Barry Windham in Columbus, Georgia, because he believed at the time that Barry Windham was the guy who should have the World Championship. And he's right. Barry Windham was at the point where he could at least try to win the World Championship. But they wanted, but Jim Herd nixed the idea, and instead of trying to work this out with Flair and just let him drop title to Windham and then leave the company, Jim Herd fired him. He sent Doug Dillinger to Flair's house in North Carolina to get the WCW title, but the problem was that title was also NWA property, and Ric Flair had a deposit of $25,000 on it, because that's how the NWA title worked in the old days. You got it, and you had to pay a deposit of $25,000. When you lost the dollar, you get the $25,000 back. Jim Herd refused to give the $25,000 back to Ric Flair, so Flair mailed that title to the WWE, At SummerSlam 91, it's actually on SummerSlam 91, and Ric Flair showed up there in September. So Flair's fired, and on a week notice, they decided that Lex Luger will face Barry Windham, the number 1 and number 2 contenders. Luger's number 1 by aspect of being the United States champion. Now, they also did not have a world championship. So Dusty Rhodes had one of the championship belts from Florida. I don't even know what its name is, but they put a plate over it that said World Heavyweight Champion, and that was what they were going to present to the winner of this match. So, our next match, which for some reason isn't even the main event for some dumb as molasses reason, is the best match on this show, and it's only 2.5 stars. Think about that. And it's Lex Luger versus Barry Windham. Okay match for a 12-minute match. It's the best match on this card. 2.5-star match. Harley Race comes in and Luger hits a pile driver and wins, and Luger turns heel. So the guy you wanted to make your next Hulk Hogan, you didn't turn heel. Now keep this in mind. Not only did they turn Luger heel, in 1992, Lex Luger quit WCW to go join Vince McMahon's World Bodybuilding Federation, and when that didn't pan out, he basically just stayed around and became basically the new Hulk Hogan in the WWE. Minus World Championship, because Vince realized he shouldn't have been the World Champion or something. And Luger was there for 2 years before going back in 95. To WCW. Yeah. So then the main event is a steel cage tag team. Was supposed to be a steel cage mixed gender match, tag team match. Rick Steiner and Missy Hyatt versus Arn Anderson and Paul Lee Dangerously. Now, this is supposed to be a 6-person tag match, as the Steiners teamed with Missy Hyatt to take on Arn Anderson and Barry Windham and Paul Lee Dangerously, but Windham, because of the Flair situation, got plucked into the World Championship match. Scott Steiner got injured, so we get this. But it's not even the mixed gender match it's supposed to be, because before the match, the Hardliners of Dick Slater and Dick Murdoch, they take Missy Hyatt to the back, so I don't even, and then Rick Steiner has a handicap match inside a cage, and wins after dropping on Anderson. He Steiner lines Paul Lee and wins the match at 2 minutes and 8 seconds. This is your main event. No stars here. This show's best match is a 2.5-star match. And that's probably, if you're being generous, 2.5 stars, by the way. This show is the worst Great American Bash of all time. Whether it's the worst wrestling show of all time, I can't really tell you that, because most shows from 2000 in WCW are worse than it. WrestleMania 9 is worse than it. So it's definitely one of the worst WCW pay-per-views of all time. By the way, out of 55 stars, it gets 11. So that's a fifth of its total maximum star rating, so it's 20%, which would be a D-. Yeah, a D- show. Well, Great American Bash 1992 is next. That'll be uploaded probably Monday, or sometime. I might not upload it tomorrow. So, this will be in a Great American Bash review series. If you like this video, like button down there, subscribe button down there, and thank you for watching. Bye.